My name is Alan, and I'm pleased to be here. I'm representing FLO, and today I'm going to talk to you all about providing the EV driver with the best charging experience. I can easily say that I'm more excited than ever to be at the building show. You know, it's been a long couple years in isolation, but it's great to see some clients of mine and future potential clients back again at the building show. So with my limited audience over here, you know, I like to get a sense of who I'm speaking with. And, you know, so I have a question for the audience that is here. Who in the audience currently drives an electric car? Any of you drive an electric car? Just put up your hands if you do. Okay, well, you know, that is pretty disappointing for myself and, you know, Elon Musk over here. But that's indicative right now of the amount of people driving electric cars. So right now, you know, we're sitting around 3–4% EV adoption. But I can easily say that it's the busiest I've been in the 5 years I've been with FLO. Okay. Right now, you know, when I started 5 years ago, we had about 5,000 chargers coast to coast. We had the largest network at that time, and now we're sitting well over 60,000 chargers. So a lot of things are happening in the industry that are changing EV adoption. So a big one, of course, is you know, the different OEMs, the different manufacturers providing new types of vehicles. So in the next coming years, we have some real exciting vehicles, things like cyber trucks and F-150 trucks, and many more new vehicles that are going to be helping spur EV adoption. Also, the technology keeps getting better as well. So easily now we're over 400 kilometers of range. And back when I started, it was about 200 kilometers, and that metric keeps increasing, okay? The other great thing is the price keeps going down on these vehicles. So slowly we're getting to a price parity with combustion vehicles. Also, you know, there's different federal and provincial mandates, regulations that are happening, different city regulations that are helping spur EV adoption, okay? And these different governments and provincial parties, they're also having a lot of different incentive programs. So incentive programs for EV chargers, and also for vehicles as well, okay? And then also, you know, what's helping spur EV adoption is companies like FLO, okay? And that takes me to our mission. So our mission as a company is to accelerate EV adoption by offering the best charging experience to our customers, okay? And how do we provide that? Well, first of all, we've been around for a long time, so we have a lot of experience with EV charging. We were created in 2009. We had our 10-year anniversary a couple of years ago, okay? And one of the key things about our company is we're vertically integrated. So we're not only the manufacturer of the chargers, we are also the network operator, we're the designer of the software. So that provides that one-stop shop for our customers. A lot of our competitors, they do small pieces of the puzzle. So some of them are manufacturers, some of them are network operators, some of them are software designers. So you tend to get the runaround, right, when you're dealing with a lot of different parties. With us, it's a one call, you know, you can call me, you can call FLO, and we'll get to the bottom of whatever you need. We provide the different chargers for different market segments. So obviously there's different market segments. We like to consider the market segments as at home, on the go, and at work. Those are the different places that people are typically charging. And of course, we have different charging stations for those different market segments with different features as well. We operate the largest EV charging network in Canada. So as I mentioned earlier, we have over 60,000 chargers coast to coast. And we've also expanded to the US. And since expanding to the US a couple of years ago, we now have the third largest network in North America. So some great growth with our company. So how else do we help provide the best EV charging experience? Well, it comes down to things that we stand for, okay? So I mentioned the ease of doing business. So we are that vertically integrated company. So it's very easy to work with us. Obviously, we have an internal a team as well of engineers and software developers that can assist in whatever project you have. A big piece of EV charging is uptime, okay? When you're driving an electric car and you pull up to a charging station, there aren't many options currently out there, right? So when you're pulling up to that charger and you're on your last little bit of battery life, that charger has to work properly. The power that it says it's going to provide has to be provided. The payment system has to be working properly. And we have some of the highest uptime in the industry. And the way we do that is from things like the vertical integration. So we can see very detailed information about the charging stations. Also our chargers, they're very robust. So they're made for Canadian climates. Being that Canadian company, all of our chargers are weather rated for Canadian climates. Actually, we just installed in Alaska. So if we can install in Alaska, we can definitely meet the requirements for Canada. We have that complete ecosystem that I was talking about. So whether you provide charging stations for your workplace, for your multi-residential building, you can access any of our 60,000 charging stations coast to coast when you're outside of those environments. When you're traveling, when you're en route, you can access all those charging stations. So that's our ecosystem of chargers. We have, of course, customer satisfaction, and that's big, and we measure that consistently. And all of our chargers have that 24/7 end-user customer support. So if you ever have a problem charging your vehicle, we can do things like remotely activate that charger and assist when needed. Second last, we have the cost of ownership. So anytime you install a network charger, a commercial charging station, there's going to be ongoing management fees, okay? So you have things like management fees to support, for example, like the billing systems, the energy management of the charging stations, the customer support. We have some of the lowest ongoing service fees in the industry, and no hidden fees. A lot of our competitors have activation charges, site validation charges, so we don't have any of those, so obviously the cost of ownership over the life of your charger will be much lower. And then lastly, we have flexible options. So we have things like a modular design on our charging stations to customize your particular location. You know, you can do a wall-mounted, a pedestal, a dual pedestal. We have pole-mounted units. And then we also have flexible options in terms of the infrastructure. So we have things like energy management, where you can power share and power limit on your chargers, so we can work with your existing infrastructure that you have in your building. So this is FLO, you know, some numbers out there, right? So I mentioned the #1 network in Canada. So currently we have 62% market share in Canada. I mentioned the #3 in North America, so we're about 3% right now in North America, and obviously that's growing. In terms of our uptime, which is that important piece for the EV drivers, some of the highest uptime in the industry. So as you can see on our hardware, we're about 98%, which is great considering you know, our bad weather over here. And then also on our network, so 99% on the network. Which is obviously very important when you're doing those long distance drives in your electric car. So I mentioned earlier the entire ecosystem. So you can see over here, we have different chargers for different market segments. All of them have key features depending on the market segment. Obviously, you're going to need a different type of charger for a single family home versus a multi-residential building. And also, you know, across the spectrum of the places you're going to install. Workplace chargers will have things like access controls. Fleets will have things like energy management systems. Public chargers will have features such as billing systems. And then city curbside chargers, we have a specific deployment for those with you know, proper height regulations and safety regulations as well. So this gives you a sense of our different customers for our different market segments. Obviously, you know, across the different market segments, we have some big clients of ours. So for example, the car manufacturers are in the residential. They carry our residential chargers. We supply chargers for a lot of the Fortune 500 companies for their workplaces. Fleets, we support some of the largest EV charging fleets in Canada. Public sector, obviously you can see there's a few different utilities. We do a lot of the commercial REITs that are out there. City curbsides, right? Cities are a very large client of ours. You can see some key cities that are clients of ours. And lastly, we have our branded networks. So a branded network basically means a utility that is white labeling our charging stations. So they're using our hardware and our software for their charging networks. And the good thing about that, branded networks is they all appear on the FLO network as well. So this gives you a glimpse of some of the charging stations that we have deployed. So you can see there's a public gas station. We have a workplace charger up on the top right here, and then an example of a city curbside charger as well. What are the different products that we have? So a good example of a charging station that we have is this one over here. This is our Core Plus unit. This is a commercial unit that we have. It's one of the most popular chargers that we have. So some key features are number one, that construction. So these have what are called a NEMA 4X construction. If you don't know what NEMA ratings are, it basically tells how resistant a product is to the elements. So this is weather rated good to -40. It's cast aluminum, so obviously it's going to last a lot longer than your plastic units that are out there. We have the longest cable in the industry, so it's a 25-foot cable. So it gives you a lot of leverage, a lot of options when you're installing charging stations. Our competitors are usually 18 feet, 23 feet, but 25 feet is the longest allowable for EV chargers. We have things like payment systems. So this charger has a payment system. The payment system, we bill in Canadian funds, which, believe it or not, is pretty unique for EV charging. Also, we're fully tax compliant as well, so we look after tax remittance on your behalf when you're using our charging station, when you own one of our charging stations. There have things like access controls. So access controls allow you to restrict usage if you want to restrict usage. This particular charger comes in different models. So this is what's considered a level 2 charger. So if you're not familiar with charging stations, a level 2 charger, you're getting a decent range, right? You're getting a range of about 30 to 40 kilometers in about an hour. But this comes in two different versions. So you have a 30 amp model, and you have a higher power model for some of the newer vehicles that are coming out, the trucks and the buses. So we have an 80 amp model with this as well. So another key feature of this is a single pedestal, but it's got a modular design, okay? So you can easily start with a single pedestal and add another unit on the back of this, okay? So it's got that modular design. And then we also have things like cable management, which you can see over here. Cable management, it pulls the cable back up when people are done their charging session. But by having this modular design, it's very easy to customize for your particular location. And then also it's very easy to service. Like picture one of these charging heads going down on a dual. We can just ship you the component that you need. Some other charging stations that we have are like our public chargers. So these chargers, this charger here, for example, it's a little bit more vandal proof. So you have, if you look closely, the charging head actually hidden behind the door. So it makes it a little bit more for like urban environments, I would say. And then we also have things like pole mounted options. We have our city curbside charger over here. So that's a very large charging station. It's about 12 feet tall. So if you're dealing with like parallel parking, or if you have a parking lot that you want the charging station very visible, then that's the kind of charging station that you would deploy. And then last, that fridge looking one is our DC fast charger. Okay, so those are more on like your transit routes. Those are for fast speed charging, and that comes in some different power arrangements. So for example, we have a 50 kilowatt version, and then we also have a 100 kilowatt version as well. Okay. So here's some more examples of different chargers that we have deployed. So you can see there's a shopping mall at the top. Over here is a good example of our workplace chargers. And this one over here is a public parking lot location. So what does it look like if you drive an electric car? Because we didn't have many electric drivers when I asked that question earlier. So you know, what it looks like is we provide the first class user experience. So you activate our chargers using our app, our RFID cards, or any of our roaming partners' apps. We have a lot of roaming partnerships with a lot of different other EV charger manufacturers. We also provide that 24/7 end user support, which is very important, right? If you don't know how to activate that charging station, obviously having that customer support is there. Our customer support, by the way, is in French and English, which makes sense. You know, we manufacture out of Quebec. But we also have the proactive monitoring of the chargers. So we're basically monitoring the heartbeat of the chargers as they're live. So if there's any issues, we can detect those early and remotely diagnose them if needed. We have the real-time charging and billing, which I mentioned earlier, is in Canadian funds. You can locate the different charging station locations easily on our map, and you can, for example, add the ones that are using as favorites. We have our cloud-based reporting tools, so you can easily, as a station owner, extract things like usage reports, which I'll show you what that looks like a little later. And then also our chargers are all payment system compliant. And lastly, we have those roaming agreements with those different networks as well. So you can see over here is another good picture of our app and some examples of roaming partners that we have. So roaming partners, you know, they are competitors of ours, but what we do is to increase EV adoption and to make that the best possible charging experience. We bring those chargers onto our map, and you can easily access them through one app, which is the FLO app. You can activate any of those 60,000 chargers coast to coast. There's some more examples. So these are some of our sister networks. You can see you can do custom branding on these different charging stations, and you can customize your charger accordingly. So what does it look like if you own one of our chargers? Okay, so if you own one of our chargers, you're going to have access to what's called an owner web portal. So we'll hold your hand through the process. You install our charging stations. We'll provide you your access to your owner web portal, which looks like this. And then we'll train you on the system. So we'll train you on how to set up your usage fees, how to set up your access controls. Those are all services that we provide. But in here, you're going to have features such as your energy management. You can remotely activate or deactivate a station. You can extract usage reports easily, so revenue reports, usage reports, energy reports, all accessible at your fingertips through the owner web portal. So just to do a quick recap, I know I had mentioned a lot of key points, so I'll just recap all those points for you. So easily the largest charging network in Canada. So if you purchase an electric car, you know, there's a really good chance that you're going to be using our network at some point when you're doing your long distance trips or you're going to your workplaces. And the third largest network in North America. We have that vertically integrated piece, so that one-stop shop for the EV chargers. So you know where to turn to if you need something for your EV chargers. Also allows us to have that proactive monitoring and the high uptime. The quality of construction, which is very important in Canadian climates. So we have the cast aluminum enclosures, the weather rated good to minus 40, which is unique. And then you also have the uptime, which I talked about. You're going to that charging station. It's got to work. Everything's got to happen properly. And that's very important, obviously, as an EV driver. Easy to use billing and revenue reports. So as I mentioned earlier, billing is done in Canadian funds. We're fully tax compliant. We'll look after the tax remittance, so it's a lot less accounting work for you if you own our charging stations. Very low ongoing costs. So I had talked about the ongoing service fees when you have a charging station and it's a network charger. It's communicating through a cellular network. So that we have the low ongoing costs and no hidden fees, right? No activation fees. Industry leader with the stable future. So right now, 60,000 chargers coast to coast. Mentioned earlier, it's the busiest we've ever been, so we're definitely not going anywhere. And then we offer that complete turnkey system. So once you install the chargers, we'll look after the customer support, we'll look after the billing. So it's very easy for our owners. The customer support is bilingual. So if you're going across Canada and you are activating our charging stations, we provide that support. And then we have that industry expertise. So being around for 10 years, being in the Canadian market, being a Canadian company, we know the different regulations that are out there in the different provinces, the federal regulations, but we also have access to different funding programs. So definitely if you are looking to install charging stations or even just have questions, you can visit us and we can help you out. You can also take my business card, which will be over here. We're in booth 1501, which is just outside, just on the corner over there. So thanks for joining my demo. One last question, so you don't ask me over there, is do these chargers work with all electric cars? And the answer is yes. So this has what's called a universal charging head. Works on all vehicles. Tesla have their own unique plug. However, Teslas are sold with adapters that plug into our charging stations. So we'll work with all electric cars on the market, which is obviously a benefit because with so many new cars coming, they're going to, in my opinion, give Tesla a run for their money. So, so nice to meet everyone. And like I said, we're over at booth 1501 and enjoy the building show. It's nice to see all of you. Thank you.